If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, My name is Rhonda Shook, and I'm an assistant professor of communications. I started with my trip to Thailand and Burma and explained about some of the things that these hill tribes from Burma, specifically the Karen, have been going through. Wheels to spin. Come in, come in. Some of my experiences in the refugee camps and in a small village. The first trip I took was with my husband, David Rackley, and the second trip I was alone. And I showed the completely adorable kids to the small group communication class, just enough to make you all fall in love with them. And then I sort of sprang it on you that we would be their new literacy program.
Before Dr. Shook took on the literacy program at Pyron Elementary, she first traveled abroad to Burma as a news correspondent.
Originally, we were supposed to be doing journalistic work. I'm a writer, my husband's a photographer, and that's how we were asked to come there. But shortly before we arrived, the people running the refugee camps decided to shut down all journalistic activity. So if you tried to do journalism in the camp and you had your cameras out, they would basically shoot you in the face and you'd never be seen again. So when I'm given this information after coming all the way there, I ask, what can we do? What do we do now? This can't end here. And they basically said, I'm sorry, the only people getting in are art teachers. And so I said, okay. And they said, you teach art? And I didn't ever lie to them. I just said, I have a PhD. And so my husband and I scrambled, found a place where they were selling art supplies. We hid our cameras and recording equipment in the bottom of duffel bags, and we piled a bunch of art supplies on top of those, and we went into the camps. And we did get searched, but they didn't search thoroughly enough to get to the bottom, and we lived.
And before that, Dr. Shook received her life-changing experience and need to go to Burma in the first place.
It was after seeing hundreds of pictures, all of them touching. One of them was the money shot, as they say. It was the picture that changed my life, changed who I was, because there was my daughter holding this gorgeous little girl who was smiling, and she looked so intelligent and so pretty, and I just couldn't imagine the idea that she didn't have a future, that she was never going to get anything but 2 bowls of rice a day and never be educated, and it just wasn't okay. So that's the thing that changed the path of my life. That's where I started doing the research and making plans and finding a way, any way, to get there. And when I finally decided that I needed to go, I was told that they needed a journalist to get into the refugee camp and tell the story. I didn't know where the money was coming from. And it just happened. The money came. And so everything fell into place. I was supposed to be there. And now I'm back in Clarksville, and I have Karen people here. Clarksville is my hometown, and as a matter of fact, I did my undergrad here at University of the Ozarks, and I wanted to come back. And when I found out that there were Karen people in Clarksville too, it just seemed like, okay, that's the way the circle has to happen. And so I came here and, again, started doing some research and found out that there was no literacy program in place for these Karen people. Tyson has brought them in. They've been generous enough to give them jobs at Tyson Chicken. And they're in the Clarksville schools, but there's no real literacy program for them. So you've got students trying to take chemistry in high school, and they don't have basic English skills, some of them. So why not start a literacy program?
What are the odds that a group who live halfway across the world would end up in your own backyard? Is it coincidence?
Yeah, coincidence? I don't think so. How can it be? It felt like I was exactly where I needed to be at that point in my life, that everything had led me to that point, and I have students who are willing to do whatever it takes to help these little students, and it just seemed like, okay, this is where I need to be.